So in this review, we're going after this particular Bvlgari fragrance. It'll focus. Specifically, Eau Parfumée au Thé Blanc. So white tea, basically. And I've heard some pretty good things about this one. It's kind of a lighter type of fragrance. It is unisex. It's not quite modern. It came out in 2003, so, you know, about 20 years ago. So I'll give this a try. And the main thing I'm curious about is longevity, since this seems like a relatively light fragrance, but... So immediately, it seems very similar, at least to me, to Eau de Cartier from Cartier, and it just has that same very light, very fresh nature. And I was right in assuming that this is a very, very light, kind of more intimate fragrance. This is definitely not one of those, you know, beast mode fragrances, but the way it smells alone is actually quite nice. So again, this is unisex, and I would definitely stand by that. It's primarily a very natural smelling type of fragrance. And in the name, Thé Blanc, white tea, this is a tea-scented fragrance, and you do get that. The top notes are tea, unsurprisingly, Artemisia, bergamot, orange blossom, and bitter orange. So I would say the orange blossom is quite prominent along with the tea note. The tea note is just kind of a green, you know, leafy type of note. The bergamot is there a little bit. The citrus in general is a little bit toned down. Really what you're getting is the sweetness of the orange blossom and the greenness of the tea, with just a little bit of kind of distant citrusiness. Then, the middle notes are a little bit stronger and spicier. They have pepper, cardamom, and coriander. So all those are spices. They're all, you know, add a little bit of texture and depth to the fragrance. But I will say, it's pretty faint on you know, you're not getting any very sharp spice notes or anything. If anything, I would say the cardamom comes through a little bit. It's kind of that warmth that you get from this. But it's very, very light. Again, you're really getting a lot of the top notes with the orange blossom and the tea. Then the base notes come in, and there's not too many of those. There's musk, woody notes, jasmine, amber, and rose. So you throw in some florals for a little bit of added sweetness, and a little bit of musk, a little bit of wood notes. But I will say, most of this fragrance, you're not going to get much musk, and you're not going to get much woodsiness. Really, to me, I barely get any musk at all. That really doesn't come through to me, because it's just so faint. Woodsy notes a little bit. You can kind of tell that there's a little bit of that kind of dry woodsiness, a little bit of warmth. The amber is there, but again, that's also pretty faint. Then you get the kind of faint sweetness of the jasmine and rose, which you do kind of get, the rose especially, more than the jasmine. And that just further complements the existing sweetness of the orange blossom and the citrus and things like that. Now, the main notes overall that I get from this, because again, this is a pretty faint mixture of notes. The ones that stand out the most, I think, are the orange blossom, the tea itself, a little bit of the spice of the pepper and the cardamom, and then a little bit of the sweetness of the florals in the base notes. Especially the rose. The rose does stand out a little bit, but this is definitely a fragrance that you have to be kind of careful with if you're wary of... If you have a preference for fragrances that last a long time, you're probably not going to like this too much because it's very, very faint. Really more of an intimate fragrance. You know, people that are very close to you will only be able to smell it. You know, it doesn't have great projection or anything, but if you're going for a more delicate, more subtle type of smell, you don't want to have this hugely projecting fragrance or anything. Again, you want to be more natural, more subtle. This is a really good option because it does exactly that, especially with these very natural notes that it has. With the tea, with the florals, with the pepper, the wood notes. They all combine very, very nicely to, you know, create this nice kind of even calming sort of mixture. soothing even. And now I will say, in terms of unisex, it is a good unisex option, but it's definitely more on the more feminine side, mainly because it's very, very delicate, it's very floral, and that sort of thing. So, kind of in a standard way, this would be more feminine than masculine, I would say, or even just straight down the middle for unisex. But again, it is just mostly natural notes. It kind of depends on what kind of smells you like or dislike, how you feel about longevity and things like that. But it is refreshing. It's refreshing, but it is on the warmer side because it has those pepper notes and some of the amber and things like that. Now, because this is so light and also very natural, this is probably one of the most versatile fragrances you could possibly wear. You could easily wear this, you know, daytime, nighttime, any season of the year. Now, a little bit not so great for the evening, mainly because the evening people usually want to wear stronger fragrances for that time. But again, it's really up to the individual. But this is definitely an extremely adaptable fragrance, extremely versatile fragrance. But again, the main downside is the fact that it has really not much projection or longevity. Longevity, I would say, it's pretty on the low side, maybe 3 hours. This is kind of on par with Voyage d'Hermès from Hermès, which is also kind of a green, citrusy fragrance, very intimate, very light, about 3 hours as well. So you're not going to get huge longevity out of this. Of course, you can always reapply it throughout the day. Because the smell itself is quite nice, especially if you like orange blossoms, green tea notes and things like that, a little bit of spice. And again, if you are purposely going for a more subtle, smooth, intimate fragrance. But if you are going into this expecting, you know, decent longevity, gonna last for most of the day, you're not gonna get that. So it is just kind of a different type of fragrance experience for this one. But again, some people are specifically looking for those more subtle types of fragrances because maybe you don't want a fragrance that is too, you know, show-offy, too in your face, too obnoxious. You just want something very a natural smell. And this definitely does a good job of that. But that is pretty much my review here for this Bvlgari Thé Blanc white tea fragrance. So hopefully you found this review helpful or at least enjoyable, and if you did, of course, you can always leave a like, maybe subscribe, and I make videos like this throughout the week, so stick around for those.